Hey, we're glad you're here. Hey, we're glad you're here. Hey, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Maybe Monday.
Maybe Monday.
Whatever day.
Whatever day.
We're glad you're here.
We're glad you're here.
Hey, we're glad you're here. 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 And we're live. We're live. Hey, hey, we're live. Hey, we're live. Hey, hey, we're live. Text somebody and press the share. Hey, we're live. Text somebody and press the share. Hey, we're live. Text somebody and press the share. Hey, we're live. We're live. We're live. Hey, hey, we're live. Hey everybody, welcome back to God's Got Jokes TV. We are your hosts, The Gates. I'm Portia.
And I'm Jamal.
And we are so glad that you are here with us today. If you are watching with us on YouTube, we ask that you would hit that subscribe button. If you're watching over on Facebook, we ask that you would share this video, give us some hearts, give us some likes, hey, and even tag somebody and share it with someone else. We will also ask if you're following us over on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, we say follow us at God's Got Jokes TV and follow us individually. I'm at Portionality.
And I'm at Jamal Rich Comedy.
And if this is your first time, we hope it's not your last time. We welcome you here to our show. And we got a great show for y'all today.
Yeah, we got a great show. It's November 1st.
It is November 1st.
Oh my God. So we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about, first of all, go out and vote.
Yes, vote.
Election day's coming up very, 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 very soon. Halloween was yesterday, so we're going to talk about some Halloween stuff. And 4 months.
We've been married for 4 months.
4
today.
whole months. 4 quattro. It's amazing. And then we're gonna get into one of our favorite segments, what we're watching.
Yes. So let's get into it, Jamal. First and foremost, we have been married for 4 months.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. How you feel?
I feel good. I feel accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 months. 4 months feels like it doesn't even feel like 4 months.
No, how does it feel then? How does it feel?
I don't know. It's like time has been moving fast, but time has been standing still all at the same time. So these 4 months have simultaneously felt like 4 weeks and 4 years at the same time.
Child.
Like a lot has happened very, very quickly, but I feel like not enough time has passed with you.
You know, it's so funny, right? The last 4 months have been very, very eye-opening. There have been moments where Jamal and I are continuously learning how to communicate. We always say communication is the basis of marriage, right? It really, really is. And any relationship, not just marriage, parenthood, friendship, communication is important. What I've learned to do is really learning how to take accountability. Yeah. So for instance, right, there'll be things that Jamal would do that I really appreciate that he does, just checking in with me. We do this thing of checking in, hey, do you want to do this? Hey, do you want to do that? Before giving another person an answer, we'll check in with each other. Yeah. I realize that there's some times that I don't always check in with Jamal before deciding what we're about to do as a couple. And I realize wow, I do that. And maybe, I should give Jamal an apology. And not apologizing because I've offended him or done something wrong, but apologizing because I realize I am not giving the same thing that I'm expecting back, right? I should be willing to reciprocate the actions that I appreciate. And so if I appreciate my husband checking in with me, I should be willing to also check in with him before just making a decision on what we finna do today, right? Just because I'm the wife and just because I'm me doesn't mean that I get to just bulldoze over. And so I've learned in this past month of really learning how to not just check in, but also learning how to apologize when apologizing for me so that I can hold myself accountable and knowing that my spouse, deserves that same return that I'm expecting from myself. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest lessons in this last 4 months, or this past month, in the 4th month. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a big lesson I have learned is that a lot of times as men, especially black men, we take this whole being the head of the household thing, and we put this massive amount of pressure on ourselves to carry the household forward. And a big lesson I learned this month is that you don't necessarily need to carry that that weight or that bear that load by yourself.
That's good, Jamal.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like we are a partnership, and in being a teammate and being in a partnership, you kind of have to give you the opportunity to know what I'm going through and the pressure that I feel, and to just let that be that. Like, look, Portia, I'm not letting up. I'm not getting lazy, but I do feel this pressure to perform, and just giving you that insight so that you can, hold me up if you need to, or, if you give you the opportunity to be like, okay, look, sit down today. Like, I got this. I cook breakfast every morning, and I never said that breakfast felt like a pressure thing, but I've noticed that over this last month, ever since I did communicate to you that there are times where I feel pressure, you would just be like, you always cook breakfast, you always get everything out the kitchen, let me get it today. And I appreciate that. And those little things help us out along the way.
Oh, that's good to know. It's really good to know. We have learned, I have learned, even just me talking to friends and just talking to other people, marriage it's not that it's difficult. Well, it is difficult and it is hard. And not that it's exhausting, but, it really does require a commitment to be all in. It really does require this for us to be a team, and it really does require us to be moving toward a mission and a common goal, and it really is a partnership, and it really is teamwork. And so it's been really cool. It's been really cool being your spouse. I know we say that all the time, but no, it really is. Yeah. And the only two people who really understand what's going on as we're partners is us. And so it's a lot of fun. I really, I'm learning more about myself by being married to you in ways that I realized I couldn't do as a single person, or not that I couldn't do as a single person. What I realized I couldn't do unpartnered. That's the thing. So there's a work that happens that you become a mirror for me, where I can do some more self-work. Now, I will say this. I tell people that I felt ready for marriage because I was able to radically love myself first. Yeah, it is. To radically love me, who I am, who God has created me to be able to love myself so much that I would be able and willing to reciprocate that love, of knowing that there's a person who I can love and cherish, and I can love them even if they never become all that I want them to be. I'm willing to love them regardless, because that's what God's love does, right? When we say that we want that agape love, we do all this agape love talk, but really, when we talk about that, it's can I love this person even if they never become all that I hope that they and dream that they will be? Because I feel that's how God loves us, right?
Exactly
even if we never become all of what God anticipates and hopes and dreams of us to be, God still loves us anyhow. And I'm learning to do that with you. I'm learning to do that with myself, and I can love you better because I love myself first.
Yeah.
And I love God, right? And because of my love for self, my love for God, I can better love you. So that's been some of my other reflections too in this time. So
and something else I've been thinking about this month.
What?
One of my mentors growing up, Sister Beline, I talk about her a lot. She used to always say, when we talked about relationships and Bible study, that marriage is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, that's good.
And I've been thinking about that a lot. It was I'm on a journey with you. We're not trying to get somewhere. I mean, we are, but we're trying to move. But we're not trying to get to one specific place. We're trying to push ourselves and our mission forward.
Yeah.
And once we get to where we think that we're going, we're going to end up pushing forward again. So so don't get so caught up in where you're trying to go. Enjoy the process of getting there.
Yeah. And so in the process of getting there, a lot of it has to do with, just continuing to date. We talk about gates on dates, and we're going to talk about some of the dates that we did. Actually, we had a really fun double date this past weekend.
Yeah.
That was a lot of great fun. As you all know, Halloween was on yesterday, Saturday, October 31st. So on that day, we decided to double date with my parents. And we had a really great time.
Oh, yeah. An amazing time.
We did.
Yeah.
What did we do, Jamal?
We went to the American Dream Mall, and inside the mall there is a blacklight mini golf. So it's mini golf that kind of it glows in the dark, essentially. That's what it is. And but it's really cool. It's like space themed and it's sanitized.
Yeah, very.
It's COVID approved.
Smell the bleach. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And it's really cool double dating with your parents because all four of us are very competitive. And it was a really fun time. And I always learn something from hanging around older married folk.
I'm glad you said older and not old, because my parents would be like, we're not old.
No.
Yeah, older.
More experienced, more seasoned.
Yeah. They've been married 42 years. Yeah, 42. Been together 45. So yeah, they got some knowledge.
Yeah, there's some stuff to learn there. And I've learned, like, even after all that time, they're still able to have fun with each other.
Yeah.
They're still able to be competitive with each other, but still like throw jabs each other's way, but still encourage each other when it's their turn. Like, it's so fun to watch.
It was really fun to watch them, like, interacting, like my mom cheering, my dad on when he got a hole in one. I was like, oh, you did it. Like, oh, like every time like someone got a hole in one, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Like, everyone got hype. And my mother, when she got her hole in one, she did a little dance.
Yeah.
And, just to see them having good fun and us all having good fun, cheering each other on. And then, going to eat. We took them to eat after to one of our favorite spots, one of the spots we went to on our staycation honeymoon, where we went to here in New Jersey. We had such a great time, and they enjoyed the food, child. What? They enjoyed it. My mother said, let me get some more of this.
Another round
of these. Like, she was like, this is so good. Like, give me another round. Like, it was really good. So we took them to one of our favorite spots, and it was so delicious. And we really had such an amazing time, just hanging out, just out and about and just double dating. And so we realized we like double dates. And so we want to date with more couples. Like, let's hang out. I know it's getting cold and, COVID and, pandemic and stuff like that. It's okay. We can do virtual double dates because we do virtual things well. So we do good events.
High five.
Virtually. Let's do virtual double virtual double dates with the Gates. Come on with us. So yeah, we'd be very excited to have y'all virtually. And so yeah, I love us dating. Like, dating is so fun. It keeps the fire going. And it just keeps the passion burning. It keeps the fun in the mix. And so, like I said before, when we talked about Gates on Dates last time, we talked about how we double date, or we date at home, but we also go out too, in ways that are safe and ways that make us feel comfortable.
Big safety vibes.
Big safety vibes. It's still a pandemic out there, y'all.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
It was Halloween. We definitely wore masks.
Listen, a lot of people wore masks on Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, it's Halloween weekend. All Saints Day is today. All Souls Day is tomorrow. So for those of you who don't know, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and All Hallows Eve are actually traditions from the church. So it's the liturgical holy days. Yeah. And so All Saints Day is the day that we remember the saints. That's today. And I'm actually wearing my good All Saints Day white. That's the liturgical color for All Saints Day. And All Souls Day, the days that we remember those who we love, who have passed on, and we call them by name. So this is a great day, a great time to really harness in the presence of our ancestors, remembering our ancestors, remembering what they have done, and connecting with them and calling them by name to say, we remember you. Of course, we know in Mexico, it's the El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. In American culture, we call it, All Saints Day, All Souls Day. These are two very church days. These are church days. And it's not just American, but I mean, it's the church universal. Yeah. But, and so All Hallows Eve, which we know as Halloween, is the eve of All Saints Day.
Ooh.
And so I know people are like, oh, it's the day that people it's demonic and it's evil and it's the devil's day, and it's just kind of like, actually there's a little bit more liturgical significance.
Yeah, it's not the Holy Harvest either.
It's about, it's more than that.
Right.
So I would encourage you to read up on Halloween and All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and what has been commercialized as a spooky time to actually being a sacred time of remembrance and a sacred time for us to remember and connect with those who have passed on. So what are some of your Halloween memories, Jamal?
Ooh, I remember, I only dressed up for Halloween 1 year as a kid.
What were you?
I was a red Power Ranger.
That has not surprised me.
That
does not shock me.
Anybody who knows me knows I love the Power Rangers. I'm a huge Power Rangers nerd.
Yeah, you are.
Among other nerdy things. But yeah, that was the one Halloween costume I got to wear as a kid before, going to Holy Harvest for the rest of my childhood. And I feel like I peaked at that. That was the climax. I feel like I didn't feel a way about not having to wear a costume because I got to be the Red Power Ranger. Like I was living the dream. That was my dream.
You know, it's so funny. You know, mentioned how like Hallelujah Harvest and stuff like that. Like I didn't have that growing up in church. Hallelujah Night. I didn't have the whole Hallelujah Harvest. Like I didn't do that.
Y'all didn't dress up as Adam and Eve?
No, like we didn't have that. And so when I was a youth pastor, I was like, what is this? Like they were like, oh, we're gonna do Hallelujah Harvest with the kids. And I was like, what's that? Like it was like my first week on the job. I was like, what is this? Because I didn't do that. During All Hallows Eve, during All Saints Day, All Souls Day, at my church growing up, I did trick or treat as a little kid with my parents. I did trick or treat. And then when I was about 11, 12, 13, 14, the Ma'afa ministry at Mount Airy was getting started. And so by the time I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, I was in Ma'afa rehearsal. So Ma'afa is the great calamity. It's the story of remembrance. It's the telling of the great trauma and the great disaster that was the transatlantic slave movement that brought, and we're still living Ma'afa. It still tells the story, of Jim Crow, South, and and it still tells the story of, even now, Black Lives Matter. It tells the story of mass incarceration. So Ma'afa is the key Swahili word that stands for great calamity. And so it is a psychodrama. It's a ministry. And at my church, home church, Mount Airy Baptist Church in Bridgeport, Connecticut, ting, it is a psychodrama production that tells the stories of the struggle. And it's a way of remembrance. And so my time, so this is Ma'afa season at Mount Airy. And so during that time, Halloween, I was at Ma'afa rehearsal. And so, yeah, some kids came to rehearsal and they, trick-or-treat outfits and costumes, but we had to get on.
Right.
And we had things that we had to do. And so it's not that it was discouraged. It just wasn't a part of my practice. It just, as I became a teenager, I was at church, right. But I was at church doing my Ma'afa ministry. I wasn't at church doing Hallelujah Harvest. So
right.
That's why it's a little different for me, but it's interesting, It's interesting. But, in all of that, we might as well talk about what we're watching.
Yeah.
We should move to what we're watching.
Yeah,
and because we were talking about Ma'afa, so I want to move into a historical piece. So let's give them our introduction, then we can move.
Yeah, it's a segment called
What We're Watching. Great. So what we're watching is shout out to the Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago, Illinois, pastored by Otiss Moss III. I almost said Otiss Moss Jr. because he's on my brain. Listen, watch. You're gonna catch it. So Otiss Moss III, OM3, who's one of my mentors, he actually does a Ma'afa ministry at his church.
Oh.
So the Ma'afa ministry, they do theirs in February during Black History Month. So Mount Airy, like we do ours late October, early November. Trinity does their Ma'afa in February. So Pastor Moss and the Unashamed Media Group at Trinity, isn't it? The Unashamed Media Group of Trinity United Church of Christ and Pastor Moss's media group, they have decided to do a short film called Otiss Dream. And so Otiss Dream actually is about Otiss Moss Sr., which is Otiss Moss III's grandfather. And Otiss Moss Jr. makes an appearance and narrates much of the story. And so that short film is based upon how Otiss Moss Sr. was not able to vote in Georgia, how he had an official letter saying that he was eligible to vote. He went from polling space to polling space. He traveled 6 miles, 6 miles, 6 miles, all of these miles, and was ping pong back and forth between voting polls, and he wasn't able to vote. They denied him the right to vote. They suppressed his vote by telling him that he had to go vote in this county or go vote in that county, and he wasn't able to vote. And he actually passed away never having had voted. And Pastor Moss decided to bring this story to life and creating this film. And so if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's called Otiss Dream. It's a very important film. Get all the souls to the polls. Everyone get out and vote.
Souls to the polls.
Yeah, and he's actually, it was on Super Soul Sunday today, so check it out on OWN. Pastor Moss is having a conversation with Oprah Winfrey about the film, because Oprah Winfrey actually casts her vote on behalf of Otiss Moss Sr. So Jamal, what did you think about that film? Because you watched it too.
Yeah, it really set inside of me like the importance of getting out to vote. Because we're not just voting, like you said, Oprah voted on behalf of Otiss Moss Sr. So we're not just voting for ourselves. And when I hear people say things like, "Oh, my vote doesn't count," like, why vote anyway? It's like, first of all, if your vote didn't count, they wouldn't be trying to suppress it. That's the first off.
Well,
that's
say
the
that.
First thing. Secondly, you're not just voting for yourself. You're voting for the other people who can't vote. People who don't have the right to vote. People who have been incarcerated wrongfully, or even people who are incarcerated rightfully. They have a right to. There's certain things that happen in the incarceration system, and they can't vote to change that practice. So if you have a family member who's incarcerated, vote for them. If you have a family member who's handicapped or disabled, and they may not be able, in the right mind or physically able to get to the polls, you're voting for them as well. It's more on the line than just your rights, and that's what this movie really set for me.
Yeah, there's so much on the line, and voter suppression is real. So make sure you get out and vote on Tuesday. If you have not put out your ballot and the absentee ballot in the mail, get your 2 stamps. Jamal actually took his voting absentee ballot to the poll.
Yes, you can take. There are stations at the Board of Election sites where if you have an absentee ballot and you don't trust the postal service, which is very, very reasonable, you can just bloop, pop it right in.
Yeah.
And then it's there because you put it there yourself.
Yeah, I actually took my absentee ballot as well to the ballot box, right? And so I knew it was there. And so I love hearing your stories, people's stories, about their voting experience, and just seeing the women who are working the polls. And I've heard lots of stories about people going to the polls to early vote and just seeing the pride and the legacy of those who work the polls. And so drop us some notes, drop us some comments about your voting experiences, about your voting stories. We want to hear about it. We want to share. And so, yeah, that's happening on Tuesday. Tuesday is election night. And because Tuesday is election night, which means we're not going to get an episode of This Is Us, but on this past week, we got a 2-hour episode season 5 premiere of This Is Us on NBC. And that means that This Is Us will return the week after election, but that's okay because NBC gave us a little treat. 2 hours of This Is Us.
They essentially gave us this week's episode early.
Yeah.
Don't you love when God blesses you before the time you thought you were going to get it?
Yeah, I do. I really think it's bomb. I think it's dope. So, Jamal, what about This Is Us? Because you watched it. We watched it together. What about This Is Us did you really appreciate?
Oh, my God. There were so many little nuggets in this episode. First of all, I love the way that they worked in the pandemic.
Right?
It kind of... Because not only is it a reflection of what's really happening in the world, it really plays off the name of the show. This is us.
This is literally us. Not this is them, this is us.
Right. So they wrote it in such a beautiful way that it didn't feel like it was forced in. And so it just kind of carried over from where we left off last season. Yeah. Straight into the pandemic.
Yeah. And it's such masterful, wonderful, brilliant writing. The show is just brilliantly written, how they were able to just really thread that in so seamlessly. You would have thought it was there intended all along. It was just so seamless. I mean, it was just pristine, crisp. One of the parts that I really appreciated, there was so much to This Is Us that was loaded. But one part in particular that we want to mention, particularly as we are going to discuss this in days to come, is the topic of mental health and going to therapy. Randall's character is a Black man Black man living in America, living between multiple pandemics. Black Lives Matter. They brought up so wonderfully the murder of George Floyd, and really making that an integral part of the story, and the process that Randall as a Black man has to face. So the conversation between Malik and Randall, and Malik talking about as a young Black man, him and his father needing to take a walk every time a Black man is killed.
Right.
Because as Black men, they just need to breathe, they need to woosah, they need to process. Watching Randall watch that video and saying, I can't believe they were on his neck for 8 minutes, right? Hearing that and what that does to us, right? There's that. Plus the responsibility of being a councilman and having to be there for the needs of people in the midst of a pandemic. The fact that Beth's ballet school is kind of falling apart a little bit, or struggling financially because of the pandemic. All of these things are happening to him, and he picks up the phone, talks to his white therapist, and says, I need to talk to a Black therapist.
Right.
I need to talk to someone who has the cultural competency of what I'm going through.
Right.
And to see that play out on television, to know that this man knows that he needs to keep his mental health intact, to say that he needs to advocate for himself, to see a person of color, specifically a Black person who has the cultural competencies to understand, to see his sister Kate, who is white, a Black man growing up in a white family, has a white sister who's trying to be very supportive. Sometimes white people mean well, but they're not always doing a great job because they don't know what it's like to experience being Black. As well-intentioned as some white people are, at the end of the day, you can never conceptualize, you can never understand what it's like to walk in our shoes on any given Sunday. There's just no way to do that. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. You were about to say something.
I was just going to co-sign you. And say it's the Black experience is not always something you can articulate.
It's not.
So it's not something that, and I feel like a lot of like white people, like you said, they mean well.
Yeah.
And they just call us. They call us and say, "Are you okay?" And we're just tired of people asking, like, "Are we okay?" Like,
no, we're not okay. No,
and I can't tell you why I'm not okay. Just know that I'm not okay.
And we can't tell you how to be, that we're okay in a way that makes it make sense for you. For instance, so like when we were watching Lovecraft, and go back and watch this that episode of Jigabobo that deals with Emmett Till. So just go back to Lovecraft Country in general. When Ruby is telling Christina, I want you to feel my pain. I want you to feel what I feel. And Christina doesn't quite care because she doesn't get it. She doesn't quite understand. And so white people have to understand, you can never understand what it's like to deal with the pain that your people inflicted upon us. The systems that were built by your hands that you don't necessarily know how to eradicate all the time, but you don't know what it's like. And we can't just simply wake up and get over it. It's not that simple. So receive our correction with grace. Know that we mean it in love. And we're going to talk more about mental health and being two Black people who have therapists who aren't ashamed of it. We're going to do that the week after the election. Next week, we will probably talk about the election because, God, it's get to work time either way, y'all. And so thank y'all for watching another episode of God's Got Jokes TV. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. How can they get in contact with us, Jamal?
Oh, yeah. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/God'sGotJokesTV. You can follow us on Instagram at God'sGotJokesTV, or you can follow us on Instagram individually. I'm at Jamal Rich Comedy.
I'm at Portionality.
And that's our show. We'll see you
y'all
next week.
Yeah, see y'all next week.